All right, let's talk about a word you see everywhere these days, on everything from your coffee pods to those trendy salad bowls. It's a word that promises a lot, compostable. But what does it actually mean when it's printed on a package? You know the feeling, right? You're standing there holding a takeout container, and you want to do the right thing. You see compostable and think, great, this is good for the planet. But is it? Or is it more complicated than that? Well, we're about to get to the bottom of it. And right off the bat, here is the single biggest misconception. We see compostable and our brain pictures it just melting away into dirt in our garden. But no, that's not it at all. The technical reality is that almost all of these products are designed for one place and one place only, a special high-heat industrial composting facility. It's a world away from your backyard compost bin. So if it's not meant for your garden, what gives it the right to be called compostable? Well, it all comes down to a very strict official rule book. You see, a brand can't just slap this label on their product. It has to be earned. It has to pass a whole series of really tough tests. The official term you need to know is industrial compostable. This means the material has proven it can meet these incredibly specific standards, like EN 13432 over in Europe or ASTM D6400 in the US. These tests basically create a mini version of an industrial composting plant. We're talking lots of oxygen, high humidity, and temperatures cranked up to around 136 degrees Fahrenheit. So the main thing to remember here, this label is a very, very specific technical claim. It's not some vague environmental promise. To get that stamp of approval, a product has to clear 3 massive hurdles. First, within just 12 weeks, it has to disintegrate. That means physically falling apart into tiny little pieces. Then, over the next 6 months, it has to fully biodegrade, which means microbes have to literally eat it and convert it into carbon dioxide. And finally, whatever's left, the finished compost, has to pass an ecotoxicity test to prove it's actually safe and won't harm plants. It's a tough gauntlet to run, and these hurdles are no joke. For both disintegration and biodegradation, the standard is incredibly strict. We're talking more than 90% of the original material has to pass the test. It's a really high bar. And get this, when we talk about disintegration, we mean it has to break down into really small pieces. After those first 12 weeks, at least 90% of it has to be small enough to pass through a 2mm sieve. That's tiny. It's all to make sure you're not just leaving behind a bunch of plastic-looking junk. But, and this is a big but, here's where things get really complicated. Even though the science is pretty similar, the actual rules on the ground can be totally different depending on where you live. The EU and the US use different standards. In the States, the big certifying body, BPI, has added its own rules, like banning any intentionally added PFAS chemicals. And this all leads to wildly different labels on the package itself. Okay, so the science is figured out. The standards are in place. Problem solved, right? Haha. Not even close. This is where we crash into the real-world bottleneck. This is where a perfectly certified material meets a very, very imperfect system. This quote absolutely nails the central problem. The biggest mistake people make is assuming that because something is certified, it's automatically accepted everywhere. But that certification logo, it is not a golden ticket. It's just a lab report. It offers zero guarantee that your local facility can or will actually process it. To really get it, you have to look at the whole journey. It's a 5-step chain, and it's only as strong as its weakest link. Steps 1 and 2, passing the test, getting the logo, that's the easy part. That's just science. It's steps 3, 4, and 5 where the whole thing can just fall apart. Is there even a facility that takes this stuff near you? Do you, the consumer, know to put it in the food waste bin? And even if you do all that right, will the person at the facility mistake it for regular plastic and just toss it in the landfill anyway? So why are so many facilities saying no thanks? Well, for 3 big reasons. First, contamination. A compostable fork often looks exactly like a regular plastic one, and that's a huge risk for the quality of their final compost. Second, timing. This packaging can break down a lot slower than the food scraps and leaves they're used to. And finally, some of these materials can actually jam up their big, expensive machinery. For a lot of operators, it's just safer and easier to say no to all of it. Now, to try and fix this mess, people are working on smarter labeling. In North America, you might start seeing this how-to compost label. It's a great idea. It clearly tells you, hey, this is certified for an industrial facility. But, and this is the key part, it includes that all-important warning. Only if facilities that accept it actually exist in your area. Now, let's jump across the pond to the UK. For the exact same material, the official advice is often the complete opposite. Do not recycle. Why? Because there just isn't a widespread system to collect this packaging, so their number one priority is keeping it out of the plastic recycling, where it would be a major contaminant. It's a powerful reminder, the local system is what dictates everything. So after hearing all these challenges, you're probably wondering, is compostable packaging ever a good idea? And the answer is yes, absolutely. But it's all about strategy. It's about using the right tool for the right job. So where does it really shine? Well, it's most valuable for things that are destined to get covered in food anyway. Think about those little stickers on your apples and avocados, or the tea bags and coffee pods you use every morning, or the liner bag in your kitchen food waste caddy. In all these cases, the compostable package acts as a vehicle, helping carry all that valuable food waste into the composting stream where it belongs. Which brings us right to the core lesson here. The material itself, the fancy science, the lab tests, the certifications, that's only half the story. The system that it's designed to enter is what truly, truly matters. Without the right collection and the right facilities, even the world's most perfect compostable material is just, well, it's just trash. So the next time you see that label, you'll know what's really going on. You'll know what it means, and more importantly, what it doesn't mean. And you'll know the real question you need to ask. The package may have passed the test, but is your city ready for it?